I think overall that pretty much puts us at good to go here. We are going to pick up. Effectively, everyone is inside of the Twin Star Marauders Guild Hall. This is a tavern inside of the Warrens, inside of the city of Tolis. Everybody would be rather well aware the Warrens themselves are not the type of place that anybody would ever really want to go. The commissar's guards or the commissar's men, the guards of the city, do not actually come into the Warrens. This is the kind of place where it is a police yourselves sort of situation. The group has come to realize that a another kind of gang who actually rather truly rules the Warrens, the Pale Dogs, which is essentially a gang of children, is somewhat interfering in other things around the cities. You guys are starting to kind of come to blows with them a little more explicitly and a little bit less kind of beneath the sheets kind of thing, where it's coming more and more towards the kind of like outward expression of these things. Um, in general, you all are well enough aware of the people who you see around this tavern. You guys can interact with them more and less, however much you would like. I don't ever want to like say like you can't just like participate in some role play around the tavern, but it's also not necessarily exactly what we're going for inside of an actual session. Often these will again be kind of planned as sort of one shots where um, the level of role play you get into with the world around you, um, or like the fun of experiencing some of these other people, is perhaps kind of distractions from things that you could be accomplishing in like the day's goals. But that was part of why I said like we could log in a little bit early today, when Jesse was trying to ask us to start a little bit later. But essentially, these characters should be rather familiar to you. You should basically see a lot of these people as members of the guild who are here on a regular basis. Many of them are effectively the options for if we ever do have a session where you are playing like solo, where you would be offered the opportunity to hire one of them effectively as your sidekick. Where, like, Justin with Davros has gone out multiple times where he's taken um, I think Mukhtar and Erwin out as his sidekick. Um, but it's just one of those things to keep in mind that like these people are familiar to you all as far as members of the guild go. You all would also be perfectly familiar with each other. And that's one of those things where I understand, like, for now, um, everybody like Harry is Rich. This is Rich's first time playing with us. So it's one of those things like technically new person. Guys are welcome to role play it however you'd like, but I'd like for you to understand that on some level Carrie is a member of the guild. You guys would have seen them. You can choose how deeply you create backstory together versus how much you want to role play meeting for the first time. That's always kind of an up to you sort of opportunity. Um, but I would say one of the things that we can start with is effectively jumping into um, kind of having everybody inside of the city. We can do a little bit of just like a quick going over voices so everybody can kind of hear each other. I think many of us have kind of played together like initial times. But Ashley, can you introduce yourself and then describe for everyone kind of like a first impression again, like when somebody sees you at 20 or 30 feet away, what Vabuza looks like? And we'll go down the line, like top to bottom in Discord doing that. Both for Rich as well as a primer for everybody else. For instance, Justin Jinx is now playing a new character as well.
Hello, my friend. My name is Buzzer. You would notice him starting around about 6 foot tall, with a great sword on his back. You would not notice many features on him due to the fact that he now bears a magenta blue cloak, but when he first came to the city, he had on a black trousers, black shoes, and a black top with just the great sword on his back. You would notice that pretty instantly, along with his grey eyes if you ever saw them, and his black hair.
And then Justin, can you introduce Chinks for us?
Of course, of course. You may catch me using a couple of different voices, but that's just how I am. Appearance wise, you would notice I have a rather pronounced mustache, rather pale skin, not necessarily nice clothes, but didn't wake up in a gutter. May not notice any weapons on me directly. If we get close enough, maybe bump into each other, you might feel a boomerang or two.
And then Justin Davros.
Yeah, so Davros is a pretty big guy, human, a couple inches over 6 feet with a pretty large build. He's got a maul kind of hanging over his back. If you get close enough, he's got kind of like a bald head with some black facial hair. If you get close enough, you'll see kind of all on his arms, like various small scars, pieces of kind of like places where the hair's been singed away. Um, Wearing very kind of just regular workaday clothes, kind of like a leather apron over it. Doesn't not armor so much, but just kind of probably part of his work. Um, Also has some javelins and a dagger on his belt.
And then Rich, could you describe your character? You're Kiri?
Kari. Yeah. Okay. So Kari, you will see her about average size, male, human, probably seeing around 5'9", 5'8". Kind of a slender to muscular build. He has his leather armor with a half cape over his left shoulder that's black. His hair, he has dreaded and is walked up into a ponytail and has freckles on only his left cheek. He also has with him a longbow on his back and a dagger on his side, as well as a rapier on his other side. He also bears a mark, well, excuse me, not a mark, a ring on his left finger. Not on his ring, but on his index finger. And you get a little closer and you will see his eyes are kind of amberish. Yeah.
So the tavern itself is filled with, I believe, 9 different figures who are members of the actual guild. The Tavern the Crooked Skinner has different leather, um, animal skins all about the place. It's an old kind of barn that is sort of set up into this tavern of sorts. You have doors and wine casks and many things producing the furniture. Nothing is per se anything like there's no actual chairs here. There's barrels and like crates. There's no actual tables. It's things set on top of like beer casks. Everything's kind of like mashed together, little bit of gambling going on. You see some of these figures are armed with weapons of traditional kind of fighting. Some of them are carrying bows. Some are seemingly adorned in little more than like robes. Behind the bar, the characters of the most note would be Maybell, the like mid 30s, young 40s redhead woman who keeps the tavern here. And then upstairs on kind of the loft like mezzanine, you can often see Kalimtas kind of sitting and overlooking the bar. From the front area, there's a circular stair that leads to the top, but otherwise, you guys can enter in. Um, you have any thoughts ahead of what you would like to accomplish coming in at first, you are welcome to. Otherwise, on some level, like many other days, you all kind of receive messages, and essentially, you can tell me whether you're all coming here in the morning time or later in the evening. But effectively, at the start of your day, at some point, you're going to receive a message from Kalimtas that he has a duty for you all to perform.
So Davros probably wouldn't get there until at least late afternoon. Um, you might kind of notice like the probably still smells a little bit like smoke. Might have some like scorch marks and such on the apron. So he'd probably when he did get here, he'd probably head to the bar, give kind of give a nod to some of the others he recognizes inside, order an ale, and kind of like look around for the others. Um,
So, looking probably towards the end of like the working day is when everybody's arriving here.
Oh, I probably would have been at it pretty early, seeing as to how, I'm an entertainer and sort of eyes on the grind all the time. I think I probably spend the majority of my day at this or other local taverns.
Well, part of what I was getting at there is from your description with Davros, you were like working the smithy all day, right?
yeah, I don't want to say. Yeah, I didn't want to like imply like that's when we all got here, but that's kind of like Davros probably wouldn't be getting there until a little bit later.
Yeah, so on some level though, it's going to bend it towards that. So that gives you with Jinx the option of, how rowdy of a day you've had basically. But theoretically, if you've been here much earlier, you would have much more time with the actual people here, but in the long run, it doesn't change a whole lot. Um, how's that kind of inform you of what Jinx would have been doing today?
Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. I think I maybe just misunderstood you a little bit there. I didn't mean to step on anybody's toes. Maybe could I do like a little roll off or something and see if I lost a bunch of money gambling or won a bunch of money gambling?
Yeah, if you spend time here gambling with the others, again, these are all guildies. This is not the type of thing where I'm going to give you a whole big option to like actually try to cheat these people. Cheating your guildmates is among the last things that you should ever do here. But if you want to essentially do D20 for D20 to see how much you've made across the day, you can either start off with just let me know a sum that you're willing to gamble, if you're gambling slowly, if you're gambling heavily, and we can kind of like see from there. What do you think?
Just a single roll is fine. I'll just wager the majority of my gold, 10 please. And of course, I would never think to cheat or steal from my fellow guild members, unless of course they deserved it.
Gotcha. Do you think this is like gambling across the entire day, though?
Oh yeah, yeah. I figured just one roll to see how I did throughout the day because I have like
Gotcha. Yeah.
15 gold. So let's say I'm putting 10 of it for the whole day.
Gotcha. So yeah, just give me a D20 roll here.
A wonderful day, of course. I rolled a 2, so not bad at all.
I'm
Probably.
looking at a one. It's on 19. It might go over to the one. Oh, and it's settled on the 19. So I'd say with a spread like that, you're pretty much going to get taken for all of that gold across the day. And I would just say at this point, you're at 5 gold, but one of your guildies kind of makes sure to kind of offers you the opportunity to win it back at another time. You're always welcome to gamble with it looks like you're sitting with Tyrades, Erwin, and Mukhtar. Um, Sitting around with them, you can definitely gain a little bit of insight to recognize that two of them are a little bit more kind of warrior tough types, Mukhtar and Erwin. kind of trackers of sorts, maybe rangers, maybe fighters, and Tyrdes is clearly a mage of sorts. But that'll probably be the bulk of your day. Still, grab some food while you're here. You can still drink while you're here, but your gold's going to be gone.
Well, it was my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, but I will bid you adieu, at least on the gambling. I've had quite enough for today. I do appreciate the opportunity to win it back, but let me collect myself.
What time does Vabuza or Carrie? What do you two have in mind? Who would like to go next?
Kyrie, he was probably hunting in the morning, and he's gonna walk in sometime around noon, a little after noon, possibly because he usually wakes up early to hunt everything usually. So he'll walk in around 2 o'clock, 12. And once he comes in here, he's probably just gonna
Wait, hold on a
eat.
second. Hunting, as
Mm.
in you're going out into the wilds to hunt?
Yeah, just to like perfect his shot.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where I want you to recognize we are inside of a city campaign. This is a massive city that we are inside of. And like, when you talk about going someplace to actually get out and in a place where you're like able to actually hunt, that's probably beyond the scope of a day. So keep that in mind when you're playing, like going for that idea. Like, that's big venturing to be traveling through the city, let alone, I don't know. I just want you to keep that in mind. We're in a massive city. This is a city campaign, you know.
Okay.
There are green spaces, but they are very private lands. And that's one of the reasons why like druids, as like Ashley and I were talking about last week, druids are one of those things. This is like chaos to them because this is not a wild place. Wilds don't exist here. And then to be particular, we're in the tiny little space of the Warrens right now. But um, let me get a D20 roll from you, um, just to see how your hunting went.
All right. Where would I roll at?
In Owlbear Rodeo, in the top left, there's a little like picture-in-picture kind of button up by where it says party.
Oh,
If you click that, it'll open up the die roller, and you should see all the different dice. If you set it at the bottom of that, it's probably hiding everything, so only you can see it. There's a little like
yes.
globe. If you click on, it'll let everybody else see.
Uh, Found it. I think globe. Okay, there it is. I see it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you can always let me know though when you actually roll, but I see the 18 now. So when you are coming back through from the guards, there's do you think you're going through the northern gate? Do you think you're coming through the southern gate? Where do you think you're going off hunting?
Probably southern gate, if anything.
Gotcha. So coming through like the southern settlement, there's a larger settlement along the southern main gate, and when you're coming back through there, there's plenty of people in like the queue, kind of trying to get into the city. When you are making an effort to kind of like push towards the front, you can basically like give up a part of like your kill. Like I'd say maybe a deer, some sort of grassland creature, and you kind of give up like one of the flanks, one of the legs, to kind of like buy your way past the guards and kind of get a little bit of an expedited treatment as you move into the city. But you can have taken a deer today while you were on your hunt and kind of come back into the guild. So as far as things go, you probably came in here with a fresh kill as you arrive back in the guild that day.
Right.
Vabuza, what kind of time frame do we have you on while you're arriving?
So it's probably more than going to be likely for Zabuza to be here from early hours in the morning doing jobs here and there. Probably more than likely that he's probably done a few at this point, like just odd jobs for the guilds, helping out the guilds in any way, and probably also looking around the city, seeing if he can get any clients himself, see if he can get any mercenary jobs for himself while in his downtime. So he'd be like coming in and out of the guild, but when he would get the letter, he would wait for everybody else to turn up and be sharpened in his great sword.
Roll a charisma. Yeah, I think just do a charisma for me.
13.
Traveling around the city, you certainly see, like, there are plenty of different organizations who will recruit somebody to come in. There's very little work for, strictly speaking, mercenary work. Um, Insofar as traveling around the Warrens alone, there's definitely a solid amount of danger. It is one of the reasons why a lot of people, once they come to the Skinner, they stay in the Skinner. It's part of why having a certain amount of people always here kind of keeps it protected and keeps the actual guild members further protected. But you do kind of gain a little bit of a sense of some of those groups around the city. You can kind of see some of the groups who are looking for somebody to work around, like the docks, and um, in general, it's going to be one of the things where if you wanted to go for some mercenary work, there's some groups who want to get you like onto a ship. Um, if you wanted to join the guards, the commissar's men are always trying to recruit able-bodied folk into the actual guards. But in general, that's going to be kind of how some of those things fit. Other than that, like mercenary work for you might be a little bit more looking at like actually bounty hunting. But you can kind of see that there's a certain level of there's plenty of nefarious people, then there's plenty of benevolent people around the city. And as far as if you actually want to delve deeper into like being a sellsword, you're gonna have to actually like on your time figure out one of the groups that you want to focus on and develop that with me to actually see whether you're trying to find like a positive influence, a negative influence, like what you're trying to do. Because this place is filled with different groups who are both positive and negative. But as far as things go here, we probably have you all here inside of the tavern early afternoon. You are eventually brought up to Kalimtas with the four of you. Maybell sends up a couple of pitchers of ale and mead for you all to basically sit back and get some information from Kalimtas, who effectively will welcome you all into that little mezzanine area. You can kind of sit, grab a draft, and it's effectively welcome, friends. It's a pleasure to see everyone has arrived. It's my pleasure to see that our deeds are going well met by the people. Like I put out there, a member of the local homeowners association in the northern market, and he has his group has come to us with the desire that there is a house that does not meet their requirements, and they would like us to investigate and perhaps eradicate some of the problems within. And I was thinking four of you would be excellent for this duty. You are all free this evening. You should be able to accomplish things. If it approaches into the night, I think you might still find yourselves capable, and perhaps I'll see you all tomorrow to figure out what, if anything, is required beyond that.
this fellow give you any idea about what sort of trouble? Are we talking vermin?
They've said it's haunted. I. It might be. It's close enough to the necropolis that perhaps it is the dead still rising. But it may be beyond that. It's hard to tell. I am not sure he fully agrees that things are as dire as they would seem when you say the dead, but it's at least the Homeowners Association themselves believes that it is, even if the spokesperson does not fully agree.
Well, intriguing opportunity nonetheless. I'm definitely interested and appreciate the opportunity.
Hi, I'm in.
I'm game.
Well, if you all would be so intrigued to head off into the North Market, and he'll basically pass you all an address into the North Market. I don't have any particular reason to have a unique address prepared for this exact house. As far as I'm concerned, you guys can head off there and basically have, let's say, off of Shield Street and Market Street before you reach Argent Street. There is a blue house on the corner of Shield and Argent, and that is the home of Abril Yinnick. And as far as things go, I'm going to say uh, we have been offered as the guild a service fee of 100 gold pieces from the homeowners association, of which between the four of you, 75 would be your portion. When you all approach Elril, you can make sure that none of these numbers change, and then he'll kind of look towards you all. Um, Maybe looking towards Jinx and say, at least none of the numbers change against our favor. And then he'll basically kind of send you all off to Argent Street and Shield Street off of Market Street in the North Market. And you are looking for Erel Yenik, the speaker for this homeowners association.
Can I just ask Calyptus on the way out? Can I just ask him a question? Like as we're leaving, I just want to ask him. Calyptus, are we talking things missing and spooky stuff, or and I'll just put my like thumb to my throat. Murder.
It's hard to tell. You are more than welcome, and part of why I'd like to send you directly to Erel is to see for yourselves what you can make of it. As far as I am concerned, it does not seem like he believes it, but the Homeowners Association believes that there are indeed undead spirits within that home.
Still interested, but perhaps just slightly less.
So
Yeah,
if you
sorry,
all have
I was just trying to see like the severity that he was kind of.
Yeah, he's basically just kind of pawning it off on you guys, or on this guy at this point. It's sort of just the idea he's, like information lost between agents, and you're talking about people who are like the concerned citizens sending this person who doesn't believe in their own concerns to talk to um uh Kalimtas to talk to you guys. And it's just one of those things. It's like the telephone line. And he's just kind of saying, like, they're offering good gold. Go check it out. see what you can do, and go from there.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
So while you all head off into this area, let me effectively have you all roll D8.
5 for me.
6.
4.
5.
Alrighty. So yeah, I don't have my cheat sheet open. Anybody have a passive perception above 18? Anybody have a passive perception above 15?
Are we going for interrogation? Or just
Just
passive
hold up.
perception?
Passive perception right now. Do you have a passive perception? It should be bottom left on your character sheet under the passives. It's perception, investigation, and insight are the passives that it lists.
I have one, but it's not a 4. It's 9.
Yeah, okay. But nobody's above 15. Is anybody above a 12?
Mine.
Gotcha. So at some point around when you all are getting outside of the actual Warrens, Rich Kari is going to notice as you all are kind of leaving the Warrens, there's a couple of like kind of turns in the light, and you just catch like a little bit of kind of skin in like these hovel houses, and you just kind of notice in like a last little flash that you were basically being tailed by somebody. And as you guys leave the Warrens, you see this little bit of flesh kind of like catch a little bit of the light, and they're gone into just like the mishmash of hovels. And again, because I've gone over it with so many different people in so many different ways, I don't know if I got you, Rich, when we started a session 0 of sorts, but the Warrens is a place where houses are built on top of houses. It is straight up third world country sort of hovels of it's whatever you can build with, people will build with it. Things last until they crash down. People recover things and build again with it. So this is one of those places where it's hard to say that anything is a built building. There's very few structures in this place. A lot of places are little more than shelters. And as you guys are leaving the Warrens, you just pick up this little bit of a flash of somebody having followed you. Um, Other than that, you all have a pretty calm and like seamless travel through Tolis. As you leave the Guildsman district, you head into Midtown and cross through the Temple district and arrive basically coming through one of the central areas of the Temple district into Carver Lane. With this little pass, there's a little bit of movement where you're going uphill, but vastly you guys are kind of going along like the same kind of topographical line. Again, east to west, everything gets higher uphill as you travel west, and it points towards the actual spire that reaches out into the sky like a massive fingertip. But while you guys kind of travel, mostly this is level ground that you're following, and you can head off up into the North Market. This is a market of fresh food being sold here. You will go through some of the nicer places where some of the finest fresh vegetables, the fresh, like freshest meats, all of the greatest food that like will eventually find its way towards the noble districts, the river district. All of that kind of exists here. Whereas like Davros, you're used to a lot of the flavors and spices that like the smokes of like the Guildsman district. This is a place to actually see some of those things like uncooked in nice condition versus like a lot of this stuff on day 2 or 3 might kind of start to get cooked and brought down into the guilds district, where your stomach's a little bit more tested on what it can handle. You've got the stomach for it. Nobles do not. and it's kind of a unique kind of flavor to kind of visit a place like this, to smell fresh herbs. Um, but like to get away from the smokes of industry, this is the smells and flavors of fresh produce. And you guys can head off into the market street, making your way to the Shield District and Argent Street. You can search out and knock on what you assume is the door for Erel Yannick.
And kind of as we're approaching, Davros would be curious to see, like, as we're getting closer to the house, if there are crowds about. Like, do they just kind of like looking around to like, do people seem to be giving it a bit of a wide berth? Like, do they get any sense, just from like looking around that people are, kind of avoiding this place?
I'll roll a perception for me.
Should be a 9, I believe.
So you don't see a lot of like traffic necessarily from like the people in the area that seems to tell you, like, inform you this or that. You do pretty quickly pick up that you actually walk by the house that you would expect it to be, as you're walking in a district again of like the guilds district has a lot of like front places to do business and then very big industrial things like around it. This place is almost like kind of old, kind of Roman, where each house has like stalls, and up above it there's like living quarters. Um, and then there's like apartments where there's a lot of little front facing stalls where like the apartments are kind of accessed from behind that. But this place in particular is kind of like a more traditional, what we would almost see is like a house where it's kind of set up so the like front um deck comes to mind, but I want to say almost like veranda is like a sales floor, and then the house is just the house for living. But you're kind of like in this nice area where everything's like nice and freshly painted. You see very little like kind of like chip signs, and then there's one house that just like clearly is not getting the upkeep that everything else does. And that's effectively your kind of clue. Like, that's the house that the HOA is not a fan of. But other than that, you're not seeing anybody who's particularly avoiding it. Any signs to tell you much more than this one doesn't look quite the same as the rest.
Gotcha. All right.
By the way, like when I narrate you guys into the actual situation, you are welcome to have conversations that you would have had along the route. This is probably still about a 40-minute walk, 20 minutes to get out of the Warrens, and like 20 minutes to cross the rest of the city to get here. So this is 40 minutes are passing to get you guys there. It's more or less me fast forwarding it unless you guys actually have thoughts of what you would have done along those ways. So doing that check is still late game and what you guys could still decide you would like to do before you arrive and talk to Errol. But
Yeah.
when you're
So if, because obviously we're passing the fresh market, could I buy herbs for medicine?
I believe a medicine kit is 5 gold pieces. You can buy a medicine kit for 5 gold.
Then can I get I buy one? I get one of them, as well as some smelling salts.
In the long run, I would say you can put that inside of a medicine kit. Assume that there's smelling salts in there.
Okay, then just the medicine kit, please.
So if you guys kind of make your way there and you eventually find yourselves at the house that you've got from Kalimtas for the location of Erel, do you all have any thoughts about what you want to ask him, if there is anything you want to ask? Or are you all thinking of just heading right into the house that Davros thinks is the haunted one and taking care of the problem?
I'm not really one for devising plans, But on the way there, anybody that was bored and wanted to be entertained, I would have told a like super funny story, and just would have kind of like finished up with, and that, my friends, is the first time I was ever knocked out unconscious by a woman.
Hmm, interesting story.
I have had an interesting life.
Clearly.
Davros would just be kind of shaking his head, but he might say something about, Dalton would probably like you. Um, and you and you would all know Dalton is his son, who is missing. Been missing now for a while.
So we would probably know that by now, right? Just from regular interactions that your son had gone missing.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those things. I'd say you guys have your own choices how much interaction you've had, but if you've had little to any interaction with Davros, probably much of what he talks about on the travel, I would assume, like Justin, you can decide on this, is, you guys say something and he probably talks with something along that lines of like, Dalton would have found that funny. Dalton would have liked you. You kind of like his focus is almost always on his son.
He sounds like a good man, and when we find him one day, I'm sure we'll all have some laughs together.
For sure.
So when you guys arrive at the house, somebody is going to kind of knock on the door to kind of get the attention. You will eventually see a stout little man. He seems human enough as far as all things are concerned, about 4 or so feet tall. He's got a big beard, but it is not like a beard that kind of reaches down further than his neck. For many instances, might look like a dwarf, but he is very clearly also not a dwarf. Dwarves exist in this city. This man looks dwarvish for a human, but otherwise kind of walks out to see you all and kind of like looking across his. Oh, welcome all. Kalimtas sent you. Are you marauders? And he kind of like points his finger and kind of like shakes it as each of you, as he like points like, and he seems to almost be counting to you as he says that.
Aye, Calyptus sent us.
Excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to have you all here. And he'll put his arm around like Davros's back and start to kind of like walk you down Shield Street. And he's going to walk you towards that house that you had spotted and kind of point things out to you. And he's, well, I am of duty. Should inform you that the Homeowners Association has decided, or by vote, understands the house to be haunted. And you can feel while you're walking with him, he has like a shake to his muscles. Nothing is like smooth to how he moves, but he still has kind of like a hand on your back as he's kind of like heading you in this direction. And we need someone to take care of things. Everybody of the locale is a little bit afraid to go into this house. It has been uh, left in the state that you see it in today for quite some time now. And, well, we would like to see better times. It's also the type of thing that everybody who would repair it is afraid to, and we were hoping perhaps you all could take care of some problems. We had negotiated a price that would be acceptable for the people of the area, the homeowners association, to cover the bill for you to take care of our problems. And it kind of like looks at you all like stern in the eye as he says, like, take care of our problem.
Of course, and not to nitpick the terms or anything like that, but what is the exact criteria that triggers the payment when you say take care of the problem? Just to specify.
It, well, it, um, I guess I'm authorized to pay you when the ghost is taken care of.
Okay, excellent. So when it is ghost free, we get paid. Excellent. And I'll wink.
And
And he kind of like almost like shakes his head. And he's like, that is what it's what I've been asked to accomplish. I you'll have to decide for yourself.
that payment, 100 gold, was it?
Uh, yes, it was 100 gold. You couldn't do it for less, though. I assume we are just merchants concerned for the well-being of our people. It would be nice if you could do us any more of a favor.
So Davros is going to kind of like look around and the kind of nicer surroundings than he's used to in the Guildsman district, and just kind of like turn back and kind of give like a little bit of a stern gaze down at Errol. Price is the price. Already been agreed to, from what I understand.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I mean, if not too many of them die, maybe we can talk about it. But
It has been agreed to. You are right. I don't mean to try to renegotiate a contract which is prepared. So yes, 100 gold if you can make sure the house is safe. And then he looks back towards Jinx. Ghost free. We will pay you promptly. Uh, is there anything else before you begin your duties?
Can I use my perception to see why he's trying to renegotiate with
I mean, you can do an insight here, but I'm gonna just throw it out there. Like anybody who's spending gold, like anybody who lives a normal life, like non-adventurers, don't deal in gold. If you're ever being charged something and it is a gold, you are rich, wealthy, upper class. To have more than I think the average person spends on their day-to-day life approximately like a silver or two. Most people live in the realm of spending copper, not gold. So for this group to levy 100 gold pieces, trying to renegotiate for 80 gold pieces is like a year's wage for a person kind of thing. I don't think you need the insight check to see why they might want to renegotiate it, but you are welcome to insight check.
Before we head in, Errol, you tell us anything about who? Looks like this place has been empty for a while, but do you know anything about who used to live here?
We've had 3 families attempt to move in and try to set up shop, and each has begun a little bit of the repairs. Few of them have lasted terribly much longer than the last. I believe the last family to have lived in there was for almost 2.5 weeks, and it was looking good until they did eventually leave in a hurry.
about the families and the leaving in a hurry, any casualties?
Roll a charisma on that one. Persuasion. Just do a charisma perform. Yeah, just do a charisma for me right now.
It's 13 plus 4 charisma, so 17 total.
So he kind of looks at you and is like, casualties. Well, kind of like looks around. When he looks around, Kari, you notice that there's already people kind of gathering around as you guys are like standing in front of this house and like looking at the like front deck and like these two windows that flank the front door. And like he's showing you, and you're already attracting attention. And he kind of like looks around to these people and he kind of like huddles everybody a little bit in. And it's like, we're already perhaps
Uh,
attracting a little bit more attention than we might want to, but some of the people say that Mr. DeFeo might have murdered his 6 family members when he moved in here some years ago. Some people say it wasn't him, but he had the axe and blood all over him. It was kind of hard to see as anything else, but other than that, most everybody says that it was just dangerous, not necessarily that anybody died.
hmm, well, I reply back, just say, well, understandable. But I'm gonna like tap everybody else. I'm gonna whisper to them, guys. I think yeah, everybody's starting to circle around and trying kind of attracting too much attention here.
Well, duly noted. Are we any other questions or?
Not really.
So you guys should be able to see kind of like the front doorstep of this house, the little bit of veranda that it has. I can't actually reveal that. What is it? Because it's already revealed. There's basically a window on like the south side of the door, window on the north side of the door, and the house kind of like looks off to. I feel like I oriented it wrong, but we're going for the east here, and we're going to stick for that as far as things go. So you're kind of like sitting here with this little stout fellow. People are starting to gather around you, and if you've got no more questions, he's just going to, like, without taking a step further, he's still like 30 feet from the actual like front doorstep. He's just gonna like raise out an arm and kind of like point towards it.
Well, ghost free it is. And I'll just kind of like twist my mustache and give him a nod. And I guess I'll like approach the front porch.
Gotcha. So there's a little bit of like creaking as you kind of like move up like onto the stairs. Some of your steps, how much does Jinx weigh?
180.
Gotcha. So some of the steps as you like press down into them, you can feel like some of the softer fibers in the wood. Like there's a lot of this place that is decrepified. Neither of those are the correct word. But decrepit. You can sense signs of why this place needs to be refurbished to really get somebody living inside of it. Why the HOA would not be a fan of this place still being here. And it doesn't take long stepping up there. You can step onto the front little patio and kind of see, like, again, there's window on the north side of the door, south side of the door, and you've got the main entrance directly in front of you. Would you like to open the door?
Yeah, I'll check to see if it's opens up.
Twist the handle. It doesn't seem to be locked. Do you open it and kind of start to like actually extend the door? What is it? Maybe outside, like pull it towards you?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give it like the full kind of open.
Gotcha. So as you open it, there's going to be like a crash from within. Maybe about like 15 or 20 feet inside of the house, you hear just a smashing of like metal and wood, and you kind of like hear this like almost like liquid sound of like and just a horrendous smell just kind of like wafts out of this place as like almost the negative pressure of opening the door seems to like draw this stagnant, like stale and like rotting air out of this location. Roll a Constitution save for me, please, Jinx.
+1, so 13.
So as you first do this, you have this kind of like blast come across you. You're able to like withstand like actually like giving any of your previous meal or any of your alcohol from the Crooked Skinner back to this local house. But aside from kind of keeping that to yourself, it is definitely a struggle to breathe at first. You might have a little bit of upchuck inside of your mouth. But other than that moment, you'll kind of start to see like the floorboards of this place seem to be kind of like staggered in where there's holes in the ground ahead of you. You can see signs of like a table inside of the actual home, kind of like just to your like left inside. There is another door, probably about 15 or so feet in front of you. And then it seems like you're kind of like in like a 15 by 15 room where there's like destroyed furniture, kind of like scattered wood, but otherwise, you're kind of like looking at this little room here, and I think it's probably enough to say that maybe with just a little bit of a peek inside, you could spot that there's a staircase on kind of like the right side of this room.
So I'll just like look back at everybody, little bit of fresh vomit in my mouth, and I'll just say, something moved. Could have been a rat. It was definitely dead stuff. And then I'll just kind of rifle around a little bit, and I'll light a candle and a cigarette too.
Gotcha. So you still have a little bit of the actual light coming in from the windows around here. The candle does add a little bit to things for you, but at present, that's kind of where you kind of like cover a little bit of the smell with the cigarette. I'm going to go ahead and say it's an unfiltered cigarette. So you're not necessarily giving yourself the air filtration that perhaps you might be looking for, but at very least, it smells a lot less like the rot and decay than it does smell, than it did smell as you first kind of approached. Davros, as you enter the house, can I have a constitution from you? You can have advantage. My bad. Oh yeah. You're out right now. 17. So as you step in, you're able to kind of like hold back from the smell. Given like a little bit of like forethought on it, you're a little bit more prepared for like just a horrendous smell inside of there. Stepping in though, you see the similar things as the others, and within a moment of kind of stepping in yourself, this young woman who's probably about like 32 or so, maybe like young mid 30s, is gonna kind of like push past Fabuza and just kind of like push you into the like edge of the little patio, and she pushes right past Davros, and she's gonna move inside, and she's like in the middle of saying, "Oh, you guys are gonna come in here and take it." And she just pukes all over the floor right next to you guys.
Careful, it's pretty putrid. Oh, too late.
I think it's one of the salvos. It was years ago, but it smells fresh.
Little mister, you need to be careful when you run past people. That fucking hurt.
It's just so interesting.
Would you like to come back outside and get some fresh air? Come on, let's get you out here.
If you guys are gonna mess with the ghosts, I'm gonna be in here. And she holds up just like a little piece of like metal, and you can kind of see it's got like almost like a fan wheel on it. And while she's like looking at it like this is the most interesting thing ever, she's just kind of like slowly like moving around the room with it just kind of like she's gonna say like, "Oh, if you guys are gonna find the ghosts, I'm gonna get readings of it and prove that they're real." And she's just like stepping around, and you can kind of see like occasionally the movement of her arms kind of makes the fan wheel move a little bit.
You know, that's probably going to make it worse. You're just blowing the smell back into your face. You know that, right?
Special ghost reader. If their presence is here, I'm gonna pick them up. You know. And she's gonna move over to the window and start to like try to push open the window.
I don't think that's going to help. How about you come outside, get some fresh air, puke, just whatever you need to puke, and then you can come back in with a new sense of mind.
We find this ghost, we'll give you a shout.
See, it's like another person kind of like steps up onto like one of the like broken parts of the banister, and he's kind of like looking in at the window and sees the young woman inside, and he'll look to like Vabuza and Davros and, are you all gonna go in there and tempt the demons, eh? You're gonna see what you can find.
Look, sir, I'm gonna ask you very politely to take a kindly step backward and wait onto the side. I do not want you going inside. There is a not pleasant smell coming from inside.
That's the smell of death. You're not gonna catch me going in there.
But
So,
you
what are you thinking inside of this place, Jinx?
So I guess when I first walked in, did I see where like the movement was in particular?
Make a perception check. And my bad, Vabuza. Like, I'm not trying to stop you, but like these people are going to be crowding into this place.
Oh, thanks. I'm not just gonna pull a great sword out of my back in a minute.
Well, that's part of what I'm getting at. Is if you want to do something to them, you're pretty much going to be forced to do something physical if you would like to do something to get them out of there. These people are like, you can already see the crowd kind of forming around the house. They're already kind of moving in. Do you have a modifier on that 19 there, Jinx?
It's 9 total.
So as you look around, you can kind of see like, oh wait, 9 total? Okay.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
clear like
didn't
an
clear
old
my
one.
die.
Yeah, I one when you've got a roll up there, if I click on it, I can actually separate it so I can see too. But I have to do that every time we log in. Um, so yeah, when you kind of like walk in and you start to look around the room, um, you do see um some signs of like organic material. I would say on some level with that roll, you kind of see like in like an edge of the corner, there's like some wetter parts of like wood in like some of these like scrapped sections where things have been destroyed, and you can see what almost looks like a gelatinous blob of like meat. And I'm just gonna say like essentially you're kind of like looking at it as like that's like ectoplasm. It's like what Slimer leaves behind as he passes through a wall.
I know one of y'all frontliners has a torch or some kind of knowledge about whatever the hell that is. And I'll just kind of like point at the plasma.
Mm, Let me get these two people out of here as I unsheathe my great sword and try to coerce them into leaving.
How many tokens have you dropped? I think your push to talk button duplicates your token.
I think that might be the problem I'm seeing.
So you can make an intimidation check as you like draw your sword. This woman is running up to where Jinx points out this like blob on the ground, and she's holding that little like metal fan device out towards it. Nothing's happening. And she's like looking at it like it's not reading any and she's like almost poking it into there. It's not reading any spiritual. Maybe it's already, and she's like poking it.
What would I need for the intimidation to be successful?
She's gonna look back at you when you like draw the sword out, and you're like trying to like usher you out, and she kind of like, do you have intimidation as a um
I do, and that's why
proficiency?
I do, and it's +2, so it's 14.
+2. Gotcha. So she like looks back at you, and she's like, do you think it's dangerous in here? Because I was thinking we're looking for ghosts. This doesn't seem to have a goat. I step out for a few minutes, like
Out
two
and don't
minutes,
get out and don't come back.
2 minutes. And she like looks at like Davros and Jinx, and she's holding up like two fingers as she like steps out, and she's like looking at her little metallic device.
I'll flash her 5 fingers on the way out.
She'll hold up three.
I'll nod approvingly.
I'm gonna stand at the front door with my great sword. I just holding that intimidation.
Davros just shakes his head, kind of moves. He'll um, might take out one of the javelins from the pack on his back and kind of just like go to kind of poke the well, like sift through some of this ectoplasm, and kind of like looking back towards Jinx is and his question is like, no idea what it is, just probably something you don't want to get in your boots. As he's kind of just like,
Make an investigation.
that will be a 2.
Um, Probably some ectoplasm. Might be the type of thing like you can decide where Davros is on how much he believes in like spirits and like the presence of ghosts. But this is probably one of those things that might be changing at least a little bit of how you view those things. Certainly not what you probably came here to expect, but you're seeing it right there.
All right, whatever it is, maybe there's something to those tales, but he will kind of not sheath, but essentially put the javelin back, kind of unsling the maul, kind of just carrying it in one hand right now, just kind of at his side. And you say there's a door to his left here.
Yeah, you're probably, I'm not looking at it right now, but you're probably like right in front of the door. Yeah, it's like basically 5 feet to your left. Yep, that's a door right
Davros, you ever seen anything like that before?
Nope.
Sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little again. Uh, all right,
James,
well,
do you need a minute outside? Do I need to fucking drag you out there?
So while you guys are approaching that door, Baboos is holding the back door. You're going to hear from like upstairs, like the floor above you. You hear like a as like a massive like gusts of wind kind of like flies through the house, and then as the wind itself stops like kind of rattling some of the like wooden planks and some of the glass of the windows, you hear like a kind of like voice on the wind of ah, why do you invade my home? And I need everybody to make a wisdom saving throw.
Straight 4 for me.
I got 18.
I got 5.
Alrighty. So, as a like floating white apparition like starts to almost like bobble down the stairs, and you see like it's ethereal, like white, kind of like almost translucent, almost opaque, and it's just kind of like this white floating classical ghost just kind of like floats down the stairs. Um, Davros and Vabuza, both of you are frightened by it. You cannot move closer than to it. Anything that you do, like basically with it in sight, is it disadvantaged. Effectively, Jinx, you are perfectly fine. But
Can I use my inspire on Davros?
like you could give him inspiration for his next role, but this style of inspiration is where you choose to take a role with advantage ahead of time versus like when we if we ever go back to the style where you like collect inspiration, that's where you can modify a die one way or another.
All right, no problem.
But effectively this is like a beforehand kind of thing. So, if I can, let me have you all roll a quick initiative here. Actually, you know what? Um, Screw initiative on this. Um, what are your initiative bonuses?
+3 for Davros.
Jinx is also +3.
What's your initiative bonus with Vabuza?
I'm trying to find it. Hold on.
Top right next to like your movement. It's probably just your dexterity bonus. Realistically, the bard is the biggest reason, even though you're level 1, it's pointless, but it should just be your dexterity bonus realistically.
Then it's +1.
Alrighty. What is your actual dexterity, like your full stat? Jinx, 16 or 17?
It's 16.
Davros, 16 or 17?
Same 16.
All right, all three of us are on the same number. Can I have you guys actually roll for initiative? My bad.
My dexterity is lower than that.
Yeah. This is just gonna break the three of us up, so I know like a turn order.
It was just
So
super random. We like all had the same. I
yeah,
got 12.
all of us are 16. I was like looking up the actual creature to see it. So we're gonna start off with you, Jinx, as you see this thing kind of like floating down the stairs. You can see like your two friends are like looking in that direction with like fear in their eyes. What would you like to do?
We're here to help. Just tell us what it is you need to be on your way. And then I'm gonna do vicious mockery on it.
Vicious Mockery is a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, and I have a 14.
Looking good on the 14 aspect. Roll for damage there.
So it's 3 plus 3, so 6 total. And then it has disadvantage
Wait,
on its next attack.
Vicious Mockery gets your modifier from charisma.
Wait, I don't know. Maybe not. I saw it somewhere, but I don't. I'm definitely probably wrong.
Go into like your where
Yeah,
your
it's
things
just
are.
a D4 psychic.
Okay,
So
my
3
bad.
damage.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so just 3 damage, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just do bardic inspiration. I'm gonna just kind of tap Davros on the shoulder and say, "Good luck, Davros. He's looking for you. and I'm just gonna kind of tap him, and then that'll end my turn.
So, Davros, it will go to you next. Again, you're afraid of it right now. So, if you move, you have to move no closer to it. If you do anything while you can see it, it is at disadvantage.
Yeah, so Davros kind of like he takes a kind of initial step back and then starts kind of almost like moving kind of sideways back towards the door. Got his maul out, but he's kind of looking at this thing. Might have been yours before, but not anymore. Uh, but he's essentially trying to kind of like bolster himself up, but you can tell he's definitely taken aback, frightened, gripping the maul, and otherwise kind to almost trying to like stay on the balls of his feet, taking the dodge action.
All right, if I use those things as markers, I feel like I should be able to remove them, and I couldn't find a way to easily remove those things. At the end of your turn, make a wisdom saving throw for me, please.
And you have a D6 if you want to use that bardic inspiration.
Did you say you were holding an action there? My bad. I was distracted by trying to put fear on you.
No dodging.
Gotcha, dodge.
I think I'll just stick with that 17.
Yeah. So by the time you end your turn, you're kind of looking at this and you're just like, it's just a fucking sheet on somebody. It is going to kind of like fly down the stairs, and this is where you guys will start to see it doesn't have any feet. The sheet is floating in the air. Something is keeping it off the ground itself. But as it kind of gets closer and closer, it is going to move towards you, Davros. And while you are trying to dodge, it is going to still try to like almost like slam into you as like this whole big like area of this like semi-translucent, again, like essentially it's kind of like a bed sheet, kind of like spreads towards you, and this thing's like bouncing as it comes down the stairs, floating towards you, and is going to try to um get you into its ethereal presence. Give me the nat 20 and the 16. 21 should hit you, but I am not going to get to crit you.
Yeah, 21 definitely hit.
And as this thing kind of like comes forward towards you, you'll see is like this like closest point of it. Um, Maybe this is for the other people to see, almost like immediately like pierces his flesh, and like the red of his blood starts to like spill across this material, and you start to gain a sense that this is indeed like an actual materia, and it is fabric like in how the blood is flowing into it. And Davros, you feel just like a tiny little point in your body is pierced, and as it starts to like, you can feel almost your heart like weakening. Oops, that was the wrong die. You can feel as your heart almost starts to weaken, and with each pump of your heart, oh, that's going to be bad. 7 hit points is going to flow out of you as this thing just starts pumping blood from within your system, and you can kind of see as like this ghostly apparition is just kind of like getting larger and larger, how it kind of like floats, and it's going to somewhat remain attached to Davros at this point, as this like white kind of apparition like fabric is like floating over him, and that's going to take us to Vabuza. You are afraid of this thing. It is attacking your friend. Oh wait, my bad. Is Davros still standing?
Davros he is mortally wounded. That definitely took a lot out of him.
One of the few people who probably can handle that much damage. And it's going to go to you, Vabuza. You've got these people outside who are fascinated and somewhat afraid of this thing that you're trying to intimidate, just as much as you see this thing as something that is fearful, and your friends are inside in the midst of trying to deal with it. What would Vabuza like to do?
So I would um try to push my intimidation as far as I could and force the two people that are like in front of me to leave while we deal with the situation.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas what you're trying to say to them at this point?
I have a rough idea. Give me like a minute.
I'm not going to give you that amount of time. You have 6 seconds to tell me. Otherwise, just roll an intimidation.
You best leave now before something may happen that you do not want to see. Things might get a little bit ugly. I know that you are intrigued, but I think it'd be safer for you if you all left.
Gotcha. Let's get that intimidation. You can have advantage with this. And then it's going to go to Jinx next here. Oh, and my bad. You will have a wisdom check after that. So, um, roll one
Right.
more d20 for the advantage on the intimidation. Like that's 2d20.
So that would be 18 because I have a +2 bonus.
No, it's the best of those 2d20 is how advantage works. So you've got a 16 there for that intimidation. You do see as they will kind of like back off. They're all still kind of looking past you, but they do kind of like back up a little bit. They're not trying to push through you at present here. And then do another wisdom saving throw to see if you are still afraid of this thing that is attacking Davros.
Yep,
Other than that,
6.
gotcha. And then what are you thinking here, Jinx, as you see it kind of like stab into Davros? Blood is flowing out of him, but it is soaking into this thing that you definitely know is not just a ghost.
So okay, I'm gonna run over to like right behind Davros and kind of like jump up on that table right there, and I'm gonna yell, "Babuza, now is the time to shift your attention to that!" And I'm gonna point straight at it, and I'm gonna do healing on Davros, and I'm gonna give bardic inspiration to Babuza.
So you're jumping up behind Davros and you're doing like cure wounds.
Yeah, correct. Cure wounds, D8 plus 4.
Excellent. Davros, you're getting healed here. You've got this thing attached to you. You can feel the singular point of where it's like piercing through your flesh. You have a solid idea this is not a ghost in front of you. You can kind of see the signs that this is some sort of creature that is flying with a sheet draped over it. What would you like to do?
Yeah, so Davros is going to shout like as he feels kind of some strength returning from Jinx's spell. Is going to just kind of like shout out, "Not today, foul thing!" And he's going to. I'm going to use my inspiration as I essentially try to bring my maul in a big two-handed swing and just like kind of smash this thing. Essentially trying to like smash it to the ground, like with an overhand swing here.
Gotcha.
That would be an 18 to hit.
That's you're just going to see as you don't even have to roll damage on this one. At the moment your maul like comes in contact with where like the head of this thing is, there is just a popping sound, and the entire inside of this sheet is just going to kind of like sink to the ground with a very like liquidy kind of like sloshing as it kind of hits with this like thick scent of a very viscous liquid inside all of your blood. And just this small but flying creature that is inside of it. When you move aside the actual sheet that is now coated in your blood, you might have a chance to see what this is. But at present, you have removed this ghost threat from your immediate presence.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe some of this, some of the blood kind of almost spatters like right onto his face. And he kind of like wipes it off with a backhand, kind of onto his apron.
I guess that is one thing. When you do kill it, like there's still this thing like pierced through into you, like coming through the actual like fabric, and there's this massive, almost like hollow tube that's like pierced into your chest, and you can see is like blood is still flowing out of it, and with each of your like heartbeats, a little bit of blood is like pushed out of it. Um, Definitely not nearly as much blood as like came out of it from your own effort, but like your heart pumping blood is like assisting this thing in draining your blood.
Gotcha. So he'll kind of rip it out with a grunt and kind of looking to the others. Whatever it is, a ghost, like any ghost I've ever heard about, and he will go to kind of uh, um, open up the sheet to kind of take a look at what was actually underneath it.
So when you pull across the sheet and like remove it from this from your view, like you're taking all of this like red coated fabric off of it, and you see like this four-winged creature. The proboscis that was inside of you is as large as the rest of this creature. The actual size of it is hard to make out, as the sac of its flesh that holds the blood is a massive amount of this creature. But let me have you make a nature check here.
12.
Say it's enough for you to recognize. You've heard um, enough stories of delvers to hear some of the common stories of like very mundane creatures that exist inside of like the undergrounds and inside of the darkness. This is a scourge, and they are basically blood-sucking mosquitoes that are the size of your torso, and they are very much capable of sucking out pints and pints of blood, and they will leave you a dried up husk of dead flesh if they're able to feed as much as they would enjoy.
Yeah, so he'll relay that to the others, and then kind of just keep your eyes out. When there's one, there might be more.
So like while you're down there looking at it, I'm gonna get like kind of close behind you, sort of like keeping you in front of it still. And I have my little candle, and I'm gonna light another cigarette, and I'm just gonna say, whatever that is, I doubt it has vocal cords. Likely shenanigans.
I never heard anyone say they talked about hearing one of them speak. Good point.
Yeah, right. Because didn't we when we came in, didn't we hear like the ghost said like, "What the hell are you doing here?" and stuff.
You definitely heard a voice on the wind, yep.
Yeah, so it definitely seems weird.
Well, should we head up then?
Davros, before you go, my friend, let me patch that wound up for you.
So Davros is actually looking all right now after the healing from Jinx. And Jinx, do you remember how much that was for?
Oh yeah, it was for 11, so I'm assuming you're back to full. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I figured it was, yeah. So okay, yeah, yeah. So like there's probably like the little puncture wound still from the proboscis, but mechanically he's good.
So, well, in the medicine kit, is there like a vial or that I could use to store this creature in?
No, again, like this actual creature is like the size of your torso. Its wings are probably about like 1.5 or twice as long as your arms. This creature is quite large. It's just most of its body mass, like it probably weighs like a pound, but like most of its body mass is like a sack or containing blood that it sucks out of you. But like the proboscis that was stabbed into Davros is almost like a foot long. These things would be horrendous creatures to actually see in real life. It is a tiny creature technically, but like the entire thing is like a horrific nightmare.
Okay, and then while that, I place my greatsword in the door, so it is at an angle that no one could get through, in or out, unless you were like a small child.
And there are indeed small children out there. Like, you're trying to just like wedge your sword into the door, or are you gonna leave it behind?
I'm wedging it in the door as to like keep it there, because obviously, if I close the door, then obviously they're gonna still just open it. Obviously, with a great sword there, it's gonna be a little bit harder, and they're gonna nick themselves as they're gonna try and go underneath it.
So you're closing the door, and you're gonna try to wedge the door closed with your great sword.
Pretty much, yeah.
Gotcha. And then you're leaving that, and you're gonna go with everybody else.
I don't think I have anything else that I can use at this moment in time to secure the door unless I use rope. I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Who can kind of like thinking? Obviously, Vabuza is worried about the people outside. Can Davros basically like pick up whatever's left of this thing, kind of move towards the window, and just like kind of like holding it out? I think the woman had opened the window. Kind of hold it out and just yell out at them, like, "You all stay out! Dangerous creatures in here!" And he'll go like almost like fling it out onto the ground in front of them.
She had tried to open window. She had failed. At present, when you approach it, there's one of these children who's like face squished up against the window, and he's like paying attention to Vabuza, and he's like in the process of saying, "Why are you gonna leave your sword?" And then he sees you carrying that thing, and he's like, "That's so cool. Can you let me in?"
Can I like assist their attempt at intimidation by doing a like minor illusion of like one of the monsters to try to like scare them away?
You want to make a sturge?
Oh, well, more like the Sturge with the ghost thing, I think, still on it to try to scare them and think that there's like more of the ghost. It's like Davros said. Obviously, Vabuz is worried about the people, so I just want to like help, like
Well, I'm thinking we don't want them getting in our way, because they're gonna try and get in front of us and stop us from doing like clearing this up.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, you're being your character. It's totally cool.
Oh,
I'm just saying, like, if we could all kind of like make a concerted effort, maybe to get.
so you've seen some of them basically see the difference of like the ghost being kind of like unsheathed. So maybe go for something that you're doing like a different kind of ghost to hopefully like, you know, further the idea that that was just something and there's something else maybe. But yeah, do a, and this is just minor illusion. Let me just get a, um, on this one, let me have an intimidation rolled from Zabuza. I'll give it to all three of you. There's three of you playing today. You're all three trying the same thing. Let's just get a whole intimidation from all three of you at present. And I would say you can do yours effectively, Jinx, as a persuade or a performance. Oh, yeah, you got a 19. That's gonna crush it.
Yeah,
So
25.
maybe like using the illusion to actually like move through one of the walls, and you guys like go out there and like push through the door and like almost like having Zabuza kind of like pushing them back, and then you go out there with Davros, and like the two of you are like fighting this other ghost like into and out of the walls and into this lower level. Over the next like 15 minutes you guys battle this thing and basically make a show of it. By the time you guys come back in, you've got people held back about 15, 20 feet away from the house. For a moment, you guys can have the assurance that they're not going to come in, but you've already seen these people are fickle. You will eventually probably have to worry about this again. But at present, you can keep them at a distance.
Good teamwork. That'll buy us some time. Let's get moving.
And what
Davros will.
do go on?
Oh, just because Davros will nod and no knowing how long they'll stay away. So agreed. Let's just go.
What do you want to do first? Check upstairs or jet the downstairs and then move upstairs?
Well, voice seemed to be coming from upstairs. Seems like the place to go.
Okay, do you want to go first? And then I'll follow behind you.
Davros will kind of he'll give a nod, kind of hefting his maul, and he will start up the stairs.
Yeah, and I'll take up the rear.
And while we're walking up the stairs, could I retrieve my crossbow and bolts from out my back?
Yeah. So one of the things that you guys should keep in mind is often if you are carrying your backpacks, you are probably encumbered while you are moving with them. Variable encumbrance leaves you with much less ability to carry a bunch of things. So keep in mind that you are not always traveling with all of your stuff. And that's one of the places where you need to figure out what you carry on your person versus what you carry inside of a backpack, and then often what you are doing with the backpack. But if you are leaving the great sword behind and essentially pulling out your crossbow, that is perfectly fine here. That's something we can perfect a little bit more in time. But you guys can start to walk up these stairs, creaking, little bits of kind of give as you step onto different stairs. You guys make your way up towards the top, where you see another kind of room on this level, bunch of kind of destroyed like furnishings, and you can see in the kind of like, was it your lower left, a door that kind of leads back into the, almost like doing a U-turn, like from your character's left, the right side of the screen.
Gotcha. So Deborah's just gonna kind of move to kind of some of this one of these pieces of smashed furniture and try to discern. Does it look like it was just kind of like it rotted away from like decay and just or is it like smashed, like someone went and smashed it?
Not sure where you were in that picture, Jinx, but got you back on it. Um, roll a. Are you just looking through, or are you kind of like rifling through and you're touching things?
Yeah, I'll
Perception
probably
if you're
go.
looking. Investigation if you're touching.
Yeah, he'd probably like go and like picking up some of the pieces and stuff like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, let me get the investigation then.
That is a 15.
So looking through, a lot of this place, or a lot of this, seems kind of just as much as like misuse and like old age. Um, I don't think you're necessarily gonna see any like intention in like things being like kind of like thrown around and damaged. Um, I'd say you kind of pick up like this just looks kind of like rot from something being aged and decrepit.
Gotcha. Yeah, so he'll kind of rise back up and kind of look towards the others, nod towards the door, and start heading in that direction.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'll kind of keep two eyes behind us, but I'll take up the back stuff.
No worries, let's see what we can find, if anything at all.
Davros will go to try to open this door.
So moving towards the door, you once again like there's no lock or anything on the door, so you can kind of spin the knob. When you're ready, you can start to draw it out towards you, and Um, I feel like there should be a window on this room. So we're gonna say you'll pretty quickly see that there's still signs of like rune furnishing and like the floor being damaged and like kind of risky to walk onto itself. But this is where you see the first signs of actual habitation. You're going to see that there's not the nicest bed. It is certainly damaged and in runes like many things, but you do see at least the signs of like a spread and like a mattress of sorts as you kind of open up this room that seems to make the top. But other than that, you're not going to see much of anything that seems different than the other rooms here. It is effectively slightly less ruined than some of the other furniture you've seen, but otherwise it's still like a damage and effectively destroyed. And then there is a door to the north to your left again, in the top right quadrant of this room.
Um, as the boozer comes in, can I do an investigation to see if there's any other hidden walls or on the or are they just all outside walls?
Like what walls are you investigating? Like in that little like area between where Jinx is and you are?
I was thinking that, yeah, because the ones near where the bed would be the outside walls, correct? If not, I
Um,
could do investigation on all of them.
yeah, like I mean, if you're just kind of like running your hands on the walls to kind of feel like occasionally knocking on the walls as you kind of like head around as Davros steps into this place, you can roll an investigation.
14.
Um, Picking up signs of like where some of the actual studs are from the actual like building of this house. But from your understanding, as you kind of like follow like the north side to the south, those all seem to be structural walls. So heading backwards, you now have a solid sense that you're probably like over the room you entered in, and that's probably structural to your south and probably structural ahead of you. um, Pretty much puts you at there's no room for like any fake walls in this area. Um, because like the next wall that you have is what separates the staircase, basically.
Alright, I am not feeling anything in this room, Davros. The only thing that is of notice is the other door. I'm not feeling any, like cubby holes or what that anyone has made.
Davros will nod. Looking to the bed, Davros is curious. Like, is it? He wants to see if he can determine whether the sheet that was covering the sturge maybe seemed to have come from this bed, or if there's any. I don't know if there's any way to tell if it's in too bad of disrepair.
It was a dirty sheet. It would have been effectively like fine to say that it came from the bed. But it also could have come from elsewhere. I think more or less it's the kind of pick up at this point that this top floor is effectively empty. I think this last room is something where you guys could pick up. It's like a closet, or maybe it was a place to use as a washroom. But it's effectively another kind of like sort of dead end at this point where you have like another end there. But yeah, I don't think there's a big reason to say that the Sturge's sheet would kind of stick out as anything other than it could have been from that bed just as much as it doesn't need to be from the bed.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Just some dirty sheet from somewhere. So yeah, he would. I mean,
Yeah.
Davros would. Yeah, he would open this door, kind of look in, see there doesn't seem to be anything, and kind of to the doesn't seem to be much up here, and suggest they return downstairs. And then kind of gesture towards the door off to their left. Seems to be the way to go.
And while we move to the left, I will check the door and my greatsword to make sure that they are both still in one piece and not been touched since we were upstairs.
Yeah, seems like they're left perfectly fine and have not been messed with.
As we come down the stairs, I'm gonna say, "Riddle me this, riddle me that. Did we just let them escape out the goddamn back?" And I'll keep walking towards that back door.
So you guys can approach towards the back door that you had spotted previously. And this one opens out into this main room. Same thing. The doorknob does not seem to have a locking mechanism on it. It kind of like shuffles back and forth.
Yeah, so Davros will just go ahead, open it, and move to step through.
Make a dexterity saving throw for me, Davros.
That is an 8.
All right. So as you open
So
this door and
can these? Nah, never mind. Go ahead. We're good.
as you open the door and step through, there is a loud, like, snapping sound of metal, and your foot is going to get caught in like a bear trap. You are going to take 4 piercing damage as you step through and like onto this pressure plate that is on the other side. And you can see like there's a chain that kind of like drags away from it and up towards kind of like the northwestern side of this room, and you'll immediately feel like a little bit of tension against it. Not so much that it's gonna try to like pull you prone, but you can feel like something's putting weight on the other side of that chain. Um, do an insight check for me here.
Yeah. So as it kind of clamps around, he's gonna just like give out a shout of pain, like Alpheus fucking balls. Um, insight, you said?
Yes, please.
That is a 14.
50, 70 pounds of something is like pulling on this chain that leads off into, like, you can see like an open door that kind of leads down into the actual ground. Otherwise this room seems to show signs of like being a washroom or like a kitchen where there's some cabinetry that are like in ruins. There's like a table kind of in ruins, maybe like a wash basin that's kind of set aside, but you have a solid sense of like this is the kitchen, and that's probably like the route into the cold storage, and somebody was probably waiting here, and the moment you stepped on the bear trap they use that to basically like leap down into this, as well as use you as like the tension to like kind of like lower them, kind of sorts, if that makes sense.
Okay, so they were kind of like waiting at the top, and then when the trap sprang, it kind of lowered them down, basically.
Yeah, they like leapt down and almost like fireman like pole like slid down the chain. You can feel the tension of them like slide down this chain and then release. Like they're not trying to pull you down behind it, but you could feel like 50 or 70 pounds kind of like pulling against you for a moment there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So after he kind of lets out the curse, and he kind of tells gives a shout to the others. That someone headed down there, and he'll point to the opening as he goes to essentially try to essentially spring the trap to free his leg, bloodied leg here.
Yeah, a little bit of effort. You can pull it out and get your leg out of there. If you would like to, you can try to do a dexterity check to see if you can like set the trap again. Otherwise, if you just want to like get your leg free and leave it for now, you can just cast it aside.
Yeah, I think he just cast it aside for now. He's angry, so he's gonna like as soon as he gets free, he's moving towards that opening.
Gotcha.
All
Everybody
right.
else following forward with him.
Davros, how about you wait a minute and get Jax to have a look and make sure that that bear trap didn't have any kind of poison or rot on it.
I'm more interested in find the bastard who left it, and he's gonna. I'll be fine. Kind of shaking his head, and he's going to kind of move to the edge and try to look down to see how
There's
far.
a ladder that leads down, but there's also a chain leads down. What is your light source? Do you have a torch in hand right now?
No, but I guess as we get into the main room, presumably it might be darker, so he would probably light one up.
Yeah,
At
this
that
is the
point.
first time that. I mean, I kind of
We
feel like the
do
house
have
should
a
have light from all
candle.
sides. What was that, Vabuza?
We do have a candle coming from Jax. Also.
Candle's not going to do much for lighting, though. It's 5 foot of light, 10 feet of dim.
Yeah, the main reason I have the candle is just so I can consistently light cigarettes.
I might
It's
have
like
to,
straight smoke.
one of them off for you.
Of course, there's plenty to go around. I only smoke when I'm scared, drinking, or just when I'm awake.
So pretty much all day, every day, pretty much at that point.
Sometimes I stop while I'm drinking, but only till I swallow.
That is really nice information to know.
But yeah, so Davros will light up a torch, and thinking it'll be quicker, he'll essentially try to grab the chain with his other hand and try to kind of ride it down if he can.
Alrighty. So you just took the bear trap off of your leg, and the chain is attached to the bear trap.
Can I put my foot on the chain to stop it going any further, just so Davros doesn't fall straight on his arse down the hole?
Let me get a dexterity check from both of you, and then a strength athletics from Vabuza if you beat him on the dexterity.
Yeah, Davros is not the smartest guy when he gets mad.
I hope he beats the 3, but it
I
would
got
be
a 4.
hilarious.
I got a 4.
Yeah, so he's leaping down there, and by the time you're thinking, like, slam your foot down on this chain, the chain's flying past you, and the bear trap is chasing him down. You are going to drop down into this area, and I think for now, my bad, did you say you lit something before you leapt down in there?
He does have a torch lit now, yes.
All right. So when you pop down there, you are at very least going to at first see that the most immediate threat is immediately behind you, like kind of southeast as you like pop down this little hatch.
I
We'll
shout.
see what else you kind of like pick up from there. But this is where we're gonna go into initiative with everybody here.
I shout down as he jumps down. Heads up.
23 for me.
I'm
Uh,
13.
Wait, what are we doing? D20 and what?
for
Initiative.
That's right. I just got to step away for a minute, real quick. I'll be right
All
back.
good. I'm actually down to take a quick little break here. And we'll come back and pick up from initiative. But I'd say same thing as always, 15 minutes. If everybody can make it shorter than that, that's better. But I need at least like probably 3 or 4.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
I think I'm gonna roll a fag and have one of them while we wait.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Jack constantly smoking is making me want to fag IRL.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I like to, excessively drink and smoke on certain characters. I feel like somebody that like hangs out in a bar and like, basically like telling jokes, entertaining, and gambling all day is like the perfect character for that.
The thing is, we have like probably one of the best groups here. We have a fucking bard, a smith, and then a fucking soldier. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely nice build up there. And like I mean, obviously I played a bard like one time before, just like briefly in like a 2 session one shot, and it was pretty fun. I like to like be a little goofy sometimes too, so I think this character might be a really good time.
Yeah, like I'm trying to play Zob as well, he's more of a serious person than anything, but you can have a laugh and a joke at times.
Yeah, I think that's good. And like I think it's important too, if we notice obviously like your character is like real concerned about the safety of like random people or whatever. I think that was cool how everybody kind of came together to like usher them off so we could go do the important stuff. Cause I mean I enjoy like the combat and all that, but I really enjoyed the RP too.
Oh, part of my favorite part about this mission is how hard the civilians are like trying to get themselves killed.
Yeah, that's one thing that never makes sense to me is how like I know why you're trying to do this. They're just NPCs and you don't care about them. They're just throwaways.
Well,
But
it's the same idea though. Like they're not just throwaways; they're people unto themselves. But none of them believe this is real. There's busybody like old ass people, like the old man outside who wouldn't step foot inside of the place. And then like the young kids who don't actually believe any of the danger. And that's kind of my general point is like you've got busybodies who are trying to say this place is haunted, and then you've got people who are just intrigued by the stories, the myths, the legends, and they just want to be close to it.
yeah, see, with the background that Zobs comes from, I think him protecting the civilians would be it's a nice thing, and also having them running around the house isn't like the smartest idea either.
Oh no, it works well. It's definitely the type of thing that you really do want to have be a part of recognizing like the full range of where your character sits. And I would also add fearless kids who get themselves into trouble are also kids who, if they can live long enough to grow up, become adventurers. It's not just that I want to kill them.
Well, I know at some point I'm gonna have to start being evil at some point.
That's okay. I don't mind making an NPC called Vabuza.
That's just yeah, because I'm obviously I set my thing as chaotic. Is it neutral or is it chaotic evil? Forgot.
What you call your alignment doesn't matter. It's how you act in game. There is an eventual point where you either need to convince everybody who plays to play evil characters, or there's a certain level of the group has to. It's basically one of those things. It's a group decision where the guild goes. There's certainly room that perhaps like maybe we could get to a point where there's like almost a rift in the group, and there's like an evil sect and there's a like good sect, but in the long run more often than not, when you start to go evil with a character, it's how you retire and become an NPC and create a new character.
Got ya.
But that's more because, like, in the long run, like, being evil and adventuring with people and going along with what they do is perfectly fine. Being evil and doing things that the group disagrees with will eventually turn your character into somebody who is opposed to the good. And more often than not, the point of D&D is to have good characters, like to have heroes. Um, you can do evil campaigns, but in the long run, it's a very different system. What did you guys get as your initiatives?
I got a 10.
All right, I'm back.
What did you get for initiative with Jinx?
I think it was a 9. Damn, I can't remember. It doesn't stay on the thing on the side after you clear it?
No, no. Once you clear it, it's cleared.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I think I had a 9 with my modifier.
Gotcha. Um, what's your initiative there, Dem? Are you
Oh, Devros has a 23. That was that 20 plus the modifier.
Oh, that poor little green skin. Not gonna last too much longer with that idea. So give me one more moment here, and then I'll be good to go.
Yep.
All right, so you are dropping down. I think I've got you guys onto it. Like right now, you guys are all in black screens.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
So you are dropping down. I probably shouldn't have revealed that last one. Whoops. Um, 10, you never saw him. You're dropping down, yeah, from where that ladder is, from up above. There's the creature who's probably still has like one hand on the actual chain, who's directly kind of southeast of you, standing about like 2.5, 3 foot tall. You can see like the darkness of its green skin as your torch kind of like wavers in the wind of like dropping down. It's a lot darker than when you actually start to land, and the torch kind of like recatches itself. And you can see far more clearly that there is like a green skinned, kind of like cloaked and darkly dressed figure, that for many functions you can see the green of their face, but you can see that they're also wearing cloaks and loose fitting clothing to try to blend roughly in like a human. Give you the idea that perhaps had you seen them upstairs, they might have a chance to not look exactly like a goblin before you are able to react. But upon dropping down face to face with them feet away, you can clearly see it's a goblin. And in the process of noticing this one who's directly there, you see another one is starting to manipulate the weave, and you can already see as it's starting to cast a magical spell. And it's going to start with you, Davros. What would you like to do? Oh, I should state there's also a door directly to your south. There's a bunch of like crates and boxes in this area as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Davros kind of drops down. He's going to, as he sees this one kind of still holding the chain, he's gonna like shout, "Hey, you!" He's gonna drop the torch, and with his maul, he's essentially going to try to um, knock it out, almost like kind of like with the head, almost like using it almost like more like a spear, trying to like essentially like right into its head.
Gotcha. So just straight going for that one, swinging for its head. My bad. What were you using as the spear into its head?
Almost like no, I'm saying like with the maul, but almost like kind of like with like almost like using it as a spear to trust, trying to knock it out. Um, that's more for flavor.
Okay.
It's just an attack with the maul, but non lethal. That'll be a 15,
Solid hit right into this creature.
and that will be for 11 damage. And I think he
Just you said you were knocking, um you were using the maul to knock your torch into its head like a spear, right?
no. So he dropped the torch. Essentially, he just I was just he wanted to knock it out rather than kill it. So
Okay,
it's
okay,
just
okay. You're going for a knockout on this one. My bad. I'm still like trying to organize the combat, so the flavor kind of got lost on me. I'm sorry for getting distracted there. 100% can kind of get around to this one, almost like taking the chain around its head that it's still kind of grasped up on. You use that to like start to wrap this thing up real quick. And as you almost like spin it while it's still trying to hold the chain, just with a quick like moving it around to its back, tap right to the back of its neck, you like just bonk this creature right out. um, One of the classic things in real life, things get brain damage much sooner than they go unconscious, but this is a solid knockout, and that goblin will just kind of like slump to the ground, semi wrapped up inside of that chain. And theoretically puts you at the end of your turn, but do you want to move anymore?
So I think, well, he also goes into a rage as he sees this thing with the chain and kind of realizes that it's the one that sprang that bear trap on him.
Gotcha.
I think kind of like no, I think he's gonna basically stay there for now as he's kind of like looming over this thing after he knocks it out. That will be his turn.
So you're going to see as the door starts to move to the south of you, and you'll see as a creature starts to open up that door, can see some like crates behind it as it opens the door, and it's holding a bow, and it's in point blank, trying to manipulate the bow. As soon as it sees you, it like stops manipulating the door, and it's going to try to take a shot at you. It will be a disadvantage for doing so in close combat. Don't believe I'm going to be able to hit you with that three being there. It is going to. I think it's. Oh man, I should have disengaged first. Yeah, it's going to immediately like just like kind of like whoop and just kind of like blip out real quick as it just like runs out. It is going to disengage before stepping away from you. And getting out of that situation.
Yeah, Davros might try to like essentially reach out to try to grab it, but obviously miss. Um,
And then we should go to. You hear from like around the barrels to the right as there's just like this crazy strong war cry. And you like don't hear like the stones like rumbling or anything, but you just hear this. "Ah!" And then around the corner comes this 2 foot tall like orange skin goblin that's just got its mace out, and it's just running towards you like yelling, but it's tiny. And it's going to run up to you, and as it sees you, like it turns its like focus towards running towards you, and it's going to run up and try to bash into you with its mace. Ends on that 6. It's a no. 16's pretty good. 20 should hit you. And it's gonna do. Up on the 7 damage, so 3 after your rage.
yep,
3 bludgeoning
gotcha.
damage there. Let's see, that's gonna take us to
And that
um
pink is for the basically mortally wounded again.
gotcha, inside the 10 hit points. Yeah, I mean, I think both Vabuza and Jinx are like starting at that.
Yeah,
Um,
technically he already was after the bear trap.
yeah. And then it's gonna go to Vabuza. What's your dexterity?
Give me a second, let me pull it up.
Oh, I had a 9 with my modifier. I think he rolled a
Gotcha.
9
I
plus
rolled
his.
a 9 and then I got a 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad. Okay, yeah, 10. So he's got a +1. So yeah, this next little creature is going to run out of that back room where the door was open. And I don't think it even has to. No, you're just going to see as a little bolt of like a little font of fire kind of like whizzes out of that room. And oh shit, about to crit you. You just get like pinged in the back by this thing, and you are going to take 5 fire damage as this like searing pain like just like starts to burn through your flesh. And then it's gonna go to Vabuza.
And that 5 will take him down.
Right, so I would come down the ladders like pretty fast, so I would pretty much slide down the ladders as safely as I could. And with my
So sliding down the ladder, you're gonna see as Davro's like taken down by that fire and basically slinks unconscious. He's got one goblin wrapped up. He's got another one like trying to like strike at him with a mace.
yeah, so I would take a shot with my cross bolt and try aiming for the one that is attacking Davros.
So in close combat, it will be at disadvantage.
How do I check what the advantage would be?
Just roll 2d20 and then we'll take the lowest. Although if that 7 is one of them, it's probably too low already.
7 is one of them, yeah.
What's your modifier? It's like +4 or +5.
4.
Yep, that's going to be too low to hit it. So
Wait, we're
as
going
you
for
like
strength
slide
or
down,
dexterity? Which one are we going for?
what's that?
What one are we going for? Dexterity, strength?
Like for shooting ranged weapons, like range attacks are always dexterity. So shooting is dexterity, and if you're proficient in it, plus your proficiency. So that would probably be the +3-ish at level 1.
I don't think I'm proficient in
Yeah, it makes it even worse. So it's a +1 and you're shooting with an 8, basically.
yeah, pretty much.
So you're sliding down, and maybe the moment you see this thing like swinging at Davros, and as you see him go unconscious, you pull the trigger a little bit too soon, and you realize right away that you're sliding down into this situation, and the crossbow was a terrible move. You see like Davros's weapon now on the ground. You see the creature that has the actual mace that it's swinging at him, and then the creature that Davros took out has like a sword inside of its gear. You're gonna need to get a weapon here. But effectively, unless you would like to move anymore, or if you have something else you'd like to do, it's gonna go to Jinx.
Yeah. So can I go like behind Davros, grab his mace, and then with like as so I'll drop the crossbow, pick up Davros's mace, obviously because I'm proficient in handheld weapons. Could I use that as another attack, or am I just
No, your action is spent like using the crossbow. Your free object interaction on this one, I'm gonna be is sliding down that ladder. So I'm gonna say at present you could move towards one of these weapons, but until next turn you can't actually pick one up yet.
Right, then I would like move slightly towards Davros.
Gotcha. And then Jinx, what are you thinking here?
So I'm gonna just like go to poke my head down the little like hole. I see immediately there's just pure fucking chaos. So I'm just gonna do like a quick like little acrobatics move down to the floor.
Gotcha. Like you want to do an acrobatics check to kind of leap down there. Go for an acrobatics here and let's see how well you do it.
8 plus
Solid enough that nothing bad's gonna happen.
5,
You
so
might
yeah,
not,
13.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's actually good enough that you can actually look slick doing it as well. Maybe you like kind of just like, you know, like kind of dropping prone to look down. You then do, I don't even know what it would be called, but where you almost do like the reverse pull up and you like drop your head through the hatch and like lower yourself down to the ground. But yeah, you can kind of pop down into there. You're right next to one of these creatures. Davros is within arm's reach if you've got another healing spell. And then let's see, you can see two of these living creatures basically to the east of you right now.
All right, so when I land, I'm gonna hit you with some spirit fingers, because I'm proud of my performance, and then I'm going to just stand up, and then I'm gonna say, I'll kind of like clap my hands together and like slap my boot with my other hand, and I'll say, "Knick knack, paddywhack, got to get the Davy back," and I'm gonna cure wounds on Davros. So it'd be 2 plus 4, so 6 total.
Any bonus action?
Yeah, bonus action. I'm gonna do the bardic inspiration when I heal Davros, so he has a D6 again.
Gotcha. And then we are going for
And
Little Knifer.
there's a guy right next to me right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to stand back up after I do all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. You reaching down to him isn't like going prone. Out of the like lower room. Um, yeah, they don't have to give themselves away at a time. Uh, let's see. I'm gonna roll for all three of you. Running right past Fabuza, like right below your legs, like maybe stepping and putting a foot like into Davros's mouth, so you get like dirty goblin toe, and then he like runs up to the healer, and he's just taking his daggers, and he's got two little daggers, and he's gonna try to strike out at you, and he's going to. The first one, that 8, is definitely going to miss with a 12 to hit you. What's your AC?
I have 13 total armor class.
Oh, so close though. And then the 17 is definitely going to hit you as he gets one dagger underneath your armor, and that one's going to do 6 piercing damage as he slides this like long, like 8-inch dagger like up through your leather. And then it's gonna go to the little guy in the corner who's trying to cast his spell, and he's gonna try to zap. He's going to go for the same. He's going to try to take out the healer trying to help people. And he's going to try to blast you with a little bit of fire. Uh, Sticking to the 18 should be a hit. And it's going to do. My bad. That second one doesn't count. It critted before, is why I rolled 2. It's going to do 3 fire damage to you.
All right, I'm down.
That's going to take us back to the top with Davros. Prone on the ground, your mace is right next to you. You'll see as these creatures kind of swarm about your friends, and you are basically like ready to stand up and get back into it.
Yeah, so Davros kind of coming to, going to kind of not even really sure exactly what happened. It was kind of so quick, but he's going to kind of with another roar, grabbing his maul, standing back up, going back into a rage, and essentially with the maul taking a big uppercut swing at as he sees this one stabbing into Jinx, is going to go for that one. Just trying to essentially kill this one. No more knocking things out. I'm going to use my bardic inspiration. Should be a D6, I think, right?
Yep,
Yep.
D6.
All right, so that'll make it a 19 to hit.
Which one were
Fire.
you striking out at? My bad.
The one with the dagger that just stabbed into Jinx.
Gotcha. All right. Roll for damage.
That will be 14.
Yep, you're just gonna decimate that thing. Pretty similar to the other one, where it doesn't take you much with your hammer to actually get it like down. This one you just smash right through the skull, and there's just like a little bit of like bone fragment and some gooey brain matter that comes back as you draw your hammer back out of that creature.
And he's gonna be, as he's doing that, he's just shouting like, "Hang on, Jinx!" But that will otherwise be his turn.
That will take us to Ree, is the little hammer guy above you. He's going to like reach down for Jinx, who's like collapsed onto the ground, and kind of like look up to you as he like raises his hammer and like pulls it back to the side, and he's like holding it at like a distance to like swing into Jinx. He's like, surrender, or your Jinx gets it. And then that's gonna go to um. Oh damn! I had one who was in the middle of that. Let's see what he does. Just going to be an arrow that flies out towards you, Davros. It should sink into you with that night. Oh man, double ones. One knocked into a one to make a four. So it's not going to sink into anything. It's going to fly past. Maybe sink into the actual ladder there behind, as you kind of see like that arrow fly out. Creature's going to kind of push back in. I think at this point it probably doesn't have a place to hide, and you guys can see that there's a couple of goblins inside of this other storage room. To the Um, the one holds up Jinx, gives you guys the ultimatum, and then yeah, I think you're gonna have the other creature that's kind of hiding inside of that room step up, holding like a little font of fire inside of its hand, and it just kind of like sits there silently as it's like chanting, like holding this spell like inside of its hand, looking at you guys. And it's going to go to the Booza. So just to be clear here, because a lot of people the first time playing with me are not necessarily sure what's about to happen here. But, Babuza, you are now in the situation where one of your friends is essentially dead in the hands of an enemy, and it can like smash his skull if you guys don't give in. You are in a tough spot where big decisions need to be made. So tread carefully, as two of these creatures are holding actions for something hostile to happen right now. So we're gonna pick up with your turn. One of them is holding its mace to smash into Jinx's skull. The other one's holding a fire like a fire magical spell. What are you thinking?
I've got two kind of like things going through my head at the moment. I'm either thinking about cocking my bow like carefully. I know I'm going to be at disadvantage with the little goblin of Jack. That one I know I'm going to be at disadvantage. However, with the door, is the door open next to me? Correct? Yes.
Yep, to the south of you, there is indeed a door open. Yep.
So I take it if I shoot at number 3, I'm going to be at disadvantage.
Yep, there is a goblin north of you that is in melee with you. That would give you disadvantage.
Obviously I could either shoot at 3 or 4 or 5, which is the goblin holding the fire, or the goblin bow, and kind of look Stavros and say to him, "What do you think, my friend?" As I cock the bow, ready, waiting for his response.
Gotcha. So you can speak to Davros, and you can see how to go there. You say you're cocking the bow. I feel like that's one of the things where, like, reloading it is kind of dangerous to go for. But I feel like it's maybe safer to say that you could have reloaded it last turn. you just can't shoot it again. Um, versus reloading it normally in a situation like here might be enough to cause things to be hostile. So we'll assume you've got a bolt to hold an action of. What are you holding an action for? What's going to be the trigger that causes you to do something?
So it would be for me to shoot Goblin with the fire if he either antagonizes or makes a move to suggest that he's going to harm Jack.
Gotcha. So hostile action from the goblin south of you that is casting a fire spell right now.
No, the Goblin with the mallet to Jack's head. So if he initiates with Davros and decides that he wants to go for Jax, obviously Davros is going to obviously take care of him, and then I'll engage on the Goblin with the fire.
Wait, you're not. I'm not getting this.
So I think he's
Hostile
saying
action.
if the goblin number 3 it makes a hostile action, he's going to shoot at number 5, I think, whichever one with the one with the fire, right?
Okay,
What you're saying?
gotcha.
Yeah, that is pretty much right, Davros.
Um, let's see. The goblin with the daggers. Oh wait a second, my bad. Yeah, this goes after. Justin, Jinx, can you? I don't know if there's a way to whisper in Owlbear Rodeo. I guess. Yeah, there's really not a way to whisper it just to me. So just roll us a death saving throw. Let's see where you are at being unconscious right now.
I'll just look away from the screen until you clear it.
It's not a big deal.
I mean, I can't do anything anyway, so
Are you there, Justin? Did I miss it too?
Oh yeah, I rolled 5 and then I cleared it away.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, my bad. I did not catch it that fast then. So yeah, you go through that. The creature holding the daggers to the side of Jinx is going to kind of raise one dagger towards Jinx and then another dagger towards Vabuza. Give us your coin. Lower the bow. Calm down. And it's gonna go to Davros.
yeah. So Davros is going to shooting a glance towards Fabuza. He's going to give a little kind of a shake of his head. He's going to take one hand off of the maul and move to essentially.
Oh wait, my bad. That goblin's dead. 6 is the one that you killed.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yep, that guy is not there to say anything there. I should have erased him from my initiative. My bad. So you guys are still at those 2 goblins kind of holding you. There is not the extra one with the daggers right there.
Yeah, but he's essentially Davros is doing the same thing. So he's gonna look towards Babuza, give a shake of his head, take one hand off of the maul, and then go essentially bend down to place it on the ground, and then kind of hold up his hand, kind of in a like a peace gesture, kind of disarming gesture. It's all right, don't be stupid. Towards the goblin that's threatening Jinx. And he is essentially yeah, I guess he'll what if oh wait, so that one goblin didn't say for coin, so he will yes, he'll say that
My bad. I do have the mage to the east that I skipped over. He's on the lowest initiative. He'll say the same thing. He'll effectively say, lower your arms, give us your coin, give us shinies. Shinies and get out.
yeah, so he'll be all right, don't be stupid, and he'll go to kind of reach for he does have a pouch on his belt, and you can work something out. And he will go to basically pull out if he can do that as his I guess his action. um, to basically pull out like a handful of coins. Not really even looking at like what he grabs. He did leave some of his coin at home, but he still has a decent amount on him. That he'll just essentially grab like a handful and pull it out.
Gotcha. How many do you think you're throwing out?
Would say like with one handful, maybe I don't know, like something like 2d6 coins. That sounds like
Gotcha. How many do you think is the minimum that you're throwing?
I would say at least 5.
So give me 2d4 plus 5. Or rather, like throw 2d4 for me and let's see. Or I guess, wait, 2d4 plus 3? That sounds better. So 5
Okay, so it
points.
actually will be 5. Yeah.
So yeah, just going for a quick little grab at your coins. Do you have a solid mix of gold, silver, and copper? Are you carrying mostly gold right now?
Yeah, so I'm gonna roll 5d6. 1 to 2 is gold, 3 to 4 is silver, 5 to 6 is copper. It
And
looks like
effectively, that's your turn is to kind of like scatter some gold. And what is it? That's 2 gold, 1 silver, and 2 copper.
yep. Yeah, that will be his turn. And I believe that means his rage will fade.
I think your rage should have dropped when you went unconscious, though.
He re-raged as he came to,
Okay, I got you.
but now that he hasn't attacked or taken damage, I think since his last turn, at the end of his turn, it'll fade. Essentially, it fades before, because if he was still essentially in a rage, he probably wouldn't have even done what he did. So it kind of faded as he's doing this, realizing they're outnumbered with Jinx down.
So one of the goblins from the southern room is going to kind of like move up towards the edge of that doorway, kind of like butted up against the wall, still like bow drawn, basically like right into the face of Vabuza as it looks at him, and he's just going to start to say, "Give an S coin, leave. But first, why have you come here? But leave too. Leave too. Why are you here?"
We were
Oh,
given
hold up. You can like hold that for your turn. Just like think that's one of the creatures kind of coming at you. The creature to the northeast of Davros is gonna like starting to like look across the ground for the coin that Davros kind of like set. He's gonna like kind of lower Jinx to the ground, and he's still holding his mace out, but you kind of see as his like offhand that was holding Jinx is now kind of like starting to reach for these coins as he's eyeing those. The creature holding the fire on the top of the bins to the south is going to kind of similar to the other one that's down in that room. He's like, "No, mostly leave. Leave. We don't want you here. This is our house. Don't come into our house. We don't come into yours. Go, leave." And then that'll be to you, Vabuza, to think about whether you want to respond to them, whether you want to start like carrying Jinx out of this place, whatever you would like to do.
I would really attach my crossbar and get my medical box out and if it is okay with you, can I wake my friend first and then we leave if that is okay?
Do you actually have the healer's feet?
I don't, but I have medical. I
You can't actually give him hit points right now. You can stabilize him with the healer's kit. I
that's
think
what
it's
I was going to do.
yep. I think it's an auto stabilization to just stabilize him, but you can't actually heal him. It's just to leave him unconscious, but he's no longer like at risk of dying.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I knew that I didn't have that the give life point for it.
So you can like slowly approach. You see is like all of these goblins are like twitchy as you like pull out this like small little like package of like herbs, and there's a few. It's effectively because you bought things from the fresh market that like instead of bandages you've got like leaves, instead of like ointments you've got like fresh herbs, but you can manage these same things from it, and just with a little bit of effort. Again, I think the healer's kit just lets you do it automatically, so there's no roll here to stabilize him. But effectively, you can kind of stabilize him at the moment. You just mark off one of the 10 uses of the healer's kit. And then, other than that, it's going to go to Jinx will be unconscious. No more rolls at present here. The fire bearing one to the east is going to kind of like continue with that kind of grounds of he's like, take your friend and go. You don't know of our house. Go! Leave us.
So with that, I would, then once I've administered medical box to Jack, I would sling him over my shoulder, give Drax
That,
just a nod, and
hold
say,
up, hold up. You guys are still somewhat in initiative order here. So that's why your action was kind of the limit there. If you guys are ready to prepare to actually go, um, I would say if Vabuza is going to be the one who carries Jinx, that's fine. Davros, are you the last one to go then?
Yeah, I mean Davros would yeah, so he'd go to kind of like put the maul, still moving very slowly, like back kind of over his shoulder, kind of looking to the goblins. All right, we're leaving. Got your coin. We'll, we'll leave. And um yeah, who won't bother to pick up the torch? He'll just leave it kind of on the ground. He'll offer to, he's a pretty strong guy, so he'll offer if Babuza needs help to try to help carry Jinx back up the ladder. But otherwise, would follow behind. Yeah, kind of wait for Babuza to go up first and then follow.
Does that sound good to you, Vabuza? You're going to take Jinx and go up first?
yeah, that's fine with me.
Let's see. As you go up, let me see this real quick, and then I'll give you a little response here. Yeah, I think they're just going to kind of send you guys up and out, where you guys can exit this little area right here. When you get back up top, and you are kind of out of this immediate area here, you know that on some level Jinx is going to be unconscious for a certain amount of time. You guys now have the choice of, you can already see some of the commoners like peeking through the windows, and they're kind of like already, you can hear like the shaking of the front door against Vabuza's greatsword, and you can hear signs that they're intrigued about what's going on here, and their patience has kind of given way, that they're ready to like basically find their way back into the situation to find out what's going on inside. Do you all have any thought basically between Babuza and Davros? What are you going to tell to the others?
I
What would you like to do upon making your egress from this house?
I look at Davros and say, "Is there any way that you could possibly fix that door to make it look like that we haven't been down there, or there is aught of interesting, or even stand guard, and I will open the door and let them, wander about."
I'd say we should try to get him away from this place. But I will look to see if there's any sort of like, I guess, like loose boards or like a piece of wood that would essentially be.
I'm just trying to get the door to the cellar back on top of it, basically.
Yeah, I think that was yeah.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly acceptable. To basically reapply the cellar door. So theoretically, that's kind of like covered up and at least might not be the immediate point of interest if somebody comes into the kitchen. Do you guys have any thoughts once you have that covered up? What are you going to say to the people outside of this?
But we took care of the ghost, and at the moment seems to be no other danger.
Any thought to explain why Jinx is unconscious even though you took care of all of the danger?
Um, we could say that a powerful smell knocked him out that was down there. And there was a few dead rats or something.
Sound good
So,
to you, Davros?
so Davros is actually going to kind of with a kind of look towards Fabuza, kind of shake his head, and then looking towards the people is going to try to essentially kind of like look like big and intimidating, but also kind of almost playing up the because he's pretty badly wounded as well. Um, he's gonna be like, I don't know what more proof you need. This place is dangerous. Get the hell out of here. Keep your space, keep your distance. Yeah, Davros is gonna. Yeah, he's not going to basically tell people it's safe because he doesn't want these people to come in and then stumble upon things and get themselves hurt.
Gotcha. So your intention is not necessarily to say you've accomplished things.
Davros is not. No.
Well, in a sense, we kind of have, because our only job was to kill the ghost.
It's not a three-person decision. Sadly, right now, Jinx is unconscious. You guys got to decide what you're going to say. Are you going to say different things to Errol and leave it up to him to decide?
I mean, we can say, well, it's not haunted, but Davros is. I mean, if they come in and find out that we essentially lied to them, right? They know we work for the guild, so that's going to reflect poorly. So Davros is going to try to convince Babuza that we can offer to come back and try to clear it out some other time and kind of come back in and regroup. But he's not think we should essentially lie and tell them that we're done because they'll find it out soon enough that that's not true.
Well,
Tell them the ghost is dead, and for another 100 gold, they'll take care of their goblin infestation.
It's a good answer.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
why I was kind of thinking myself, to be
No,
fair.
I'm unconscious, obviously, so I can't suggest that. But that would be my ideal answer. That
You
was
want
so
to tell
funny
him the
too because
truth.
Yeah,
You
it's a
want
little
to
too
tell him the
clever.
truth, but you also got him to agree that he's there to pay you guys for getting rid of the ghosts. So those are all things that you guys have already talked about. Like, even though Jinx is unconscious right now, those are things that you've hit on as points. Like, you have to think about the devil is in the detail here and what you're actually trying to plan. That's kind of my point of having you guys think this before you actually leave that back room. Right now, you just hear them shaking at the front door. You don't have that kitchen door open yet. Right now, they're just losing that like intimidation factor that kept them away. So, you know,
How long are we gonna have to wait for Jax to wake up? Obviously, now he's stable.
you guys don't know hours.
Yeah. So Jinx's, I mean, I definitely like Jinx's idea. That might be a little too clever for Davros to come up with himself, but maybe it's something that, I mean, it is true that we dealt with the ghost. Maybe we tell Errol, well, the ghost is taken care of, but turns out that's not the only issue. And if maybe we renegotiate for a bit more and tell him seems to be goblins in the cellar, and we can try to deal with them as well, but price might have gone up. I like that idea.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now what we tell the people outside. Like, because we couldn't easily like stand in the back room and go like, this is like a do not enter. We need something standing there that you don't want to see.
I mean, we could just basically say like, okay, the ghost is no more, but there's basically there's still essentially tell them the same thing we're going to tell Errol, right? We dealt with the ghost, but there's still there's goblins have gotten in. It's not safe. And then at some point, if they want to be stupid and come in anyway, then at least we've warned them.
Yeah, well, let's go with that. Well, let's go with that plan then, shall we?
So you all head out of the back room. You can see like one of the kids like pushing against the window, trying to open that up. You can see like the door rattling as one of the kids is trying to like push past the great sword. And you guys come out with the body of Jinx, kind of like, um, oh man, I can't think of the reference, but kind of like fireman's carry right between the two of you. And you guys like see the person in the window, kind of get all like intrigued and super excited to see as you guys step out, and you see a little bit of concern cross over their face as they notice that Jinx is unconscious. And you guys remove the greatsword. One of the kids kind of like rushes in, and it's one of the commoners kind of like rushes in, and it's the woman with her little like fan reading, like trying to take this like steel rod around to see if there's ghosts around, and she's like, "No ghosts now? Uh, did you? Oh, he is injured. You guys are all injured. You guys okay? Is he gonna live?" And she like starts like moving the like metal rod towards Jinx.
Ghost is gone, but it wasn't no ghost that did this, and he'll kind of like kind of point to maybe a couple of his own wounds and towards Jinx, and there's there's still
Oh,
danger
you're
now.
lying. The house is definitely haunted. I've heard it whispering in the night. This house makes all kinds of crazy sounds. You see as like another little like 8-year-old kind of like pushes in, and he's like making his way into the house, and he's like pushing on floorboards, and he's like making little like squeaks with the wood, and he's like pointing to it like haunted.
Look, it is not haunted. It merely has a goblin infestation in the cellar. I would advise you to stay away from it while we get our friend here some help and talk to the boss of this operation and may have to renegotiate. But as for the time being, the ghost situation has been taken care of. Your goblin situation, however, has not.
So the woman looks at you, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not even from around here. I'm just a ghost hunter. I've heard about this from a while. I've got connections. I have nothing to do with you guys getting paid. Good job trying to sell your goblin infestation." Fucking goblins. And she continues to like walk around the room taking readings to see if there's any ghosts in here.
So I place Jax down and I pick her up by like it's so obviously I was told to see 5'9", 5'8".
I mean, yeah, sure.
So I would pick her up by her dress and like carry her into the back room and place her like open trap door, make her look down there and go, "Am I lying? Am I lying now?"
Um, roll a grapple check for me. Roll a strength athletics.
Just
Yeah,
that's just
she's
one
able
big.
to kind of like push away from you, and she's just gonna slap you across the face for like trying to grab her. And she's like, just like, unhand me, leave me alone. Don't touch people you don't know. I do not consent. And she's just gonna kind of hold away from you.
So
Wait,
can
hold on. I might have actually passed that because I have a 6 in athletics and a 4 in strength.
Yeah, I mean, even with the 11 though, I'm just gonna say, she's able to resist you enough.
Can Davros, because he probably has a bit of blood on the mall from where he struck the goblins, and can he essentially is going to try to hold it out to her and kind of like point to the blood and was like, that looked like something a ghost would leave to you.
You see her kind of like second guess things for a second. And this is like a flat earther thinking kind of thing where clearly this person's mildly idiotic, and she's just like, ghosts can bleed too. And she
Ugh.
just kind of like looks at this little like metal implement, little bit like kind of like downtrodden with that. Like, this is somebody who really wants to believe in ghosts, and you can kind of tell at this point, like, it's going to break her heart to find anything that is not proof towards it. But again, my general point was to say that this woman and this child are not the people you guys need to be talking to.
Yeah, Davros is just going to kind of like shake his head, scoff, and be like, well, we warned you. You want to be stupid, that's on you. And he's going to, let's go ahead, and he's going to kind of like, let's go, Boozer, we're done here.
Before I thought, Davros, could you be a gentleman and carry my greatsword while I carry Jack's for me, please?
Yeah, Davros will do so.
I appreciate that very much.
So you all can make your way out. Within moments of you stepping out, the little kid's going to step back out of the house. You see as the woman kind of like meanders around for another few moments, and she's like approaching the stairs by the time she notices you guys are outside, and she kind of like meekly kind of like follows her own self and makes her way back outside of this place. Um, Again, like you've got a couple of the people who are up on the actual like the front step of this place. Nobody really approaches the actual entrance when you all are or outside of it. Nobody's willing to go into this place if you are not already inside of there. But once you are all outside, you do see Errol kind of like off in the distance, near that like cackling old man who are kind of among some of the other like older folks who are watching from some distance away. And at some point, Errol kind of like um like kind of waves to get your attention a little bit, but you can see this like stocky man with the big old beard who's just kind of like almost like a little bit of kind of shake to his movements, and he kind of looks to you on, and were you able to take care of all of the problems with the ghosts? Is house, are we okay to sell it again and continue renovation?
Um, I would say hold off on the renovation for the time being. The ghost situation has been eradicated. However, you do have 4 goblins in the basement at the current moment in time.
Ghosts are gone, but now we have goblins. Ghosts are gone, now we have goblins. Ghosts and
Yes,
goblins.
yes. There was only 4 of them. My friend Davros over here took 2 of them out, but we may have lost. Well, our friend here is unconscious on my back. The other will sort him out. However, we may, if you want to get rid of the goblins, we may have to renegotiate the price.
New contract and all. New problem.
Roll a persuasion from the Booza here.
6.
Just straight, nothing modified from your persuasion.
Nope.
Well, we are not in a position to pay twice for the same job. Ghosts were the problem negotiated, but the haunting is the problem. Is a ghost the problem if the ghost is gone and it's haunted by the goblins in the basement?
The
Goblins and
goblins,
ghosts.
seem pretty fine. You may be able to talk with them, but you give them a few coins, and they might ask you to leave, but they were pretty well off. They were saying that this was their house, so I don't know what to say.
HOA can't accept anybody who's going to squat. Squatters are notorious for not keeping up with paint jobs and making sure nothing's flaking. And it kind of like just points off to like the general like look of the house, and it's just unacceptable. Squatters are it's terrible for property values. Um, what do you think of that, Devros?
So Davros is going to be kind of seeing obviously this that our ploy is not working, but he will. Um, all right, all right. Look, we dealt with your ghost. Found out you got goblins as well. You haven't been able to clear them out yet. I'd say you pay us half. That's fair. If we come back and we manage to get those goblins out, give us the other half. And I think we can sell that to Kalentas.
It was thinking myself that half was acceptable for getting rid of the ghost problem. I can tell the HOA that, and that we have a goblin problem is our liability as much. If they have a problem with it, then we paid for the investigation just as much. I think we can approach you again to see about renegotiating things. How it will go. And he'll kind of like pull out a coin purse. Um Take a little bit of time. Yeah, I don't think he's going to pull it out here, actually. He's going to invite you all back to his house after like part of this conversation. And I think at some point he will spread across the actual coins, take some time to actually count them out, and essentially probably come to something where, it's a mix of like maybe two platinum pieces and like 20 or 30 gold pieces, but there's some silvers in there as well. So general, mostly gold, maybe a platinum or two. And he'll kind of like come to that, like basically recognizing like to kind of pay you with effectively 50 gold pieces for having done this. And it'll probably be another like hour or so. um, can offer you all a meal if you would like to rest and take like some time here to recover yourselves, where Jinx would come back to consciousness before he sends you all back off into the city, or you guys can collect your bounty and head on your way.
I would say we rest and have a meal.
Yeah, Davros is not going to turn away free food, especially since he doesn't want to be. We don't want to be carrying Jinx around, so we're kind of might as well while we're waiting for him to come to.
What you got to also remember is it's also going to be all fresh because
Jinx, can you throw a d4, please?
3.
So you guys take like a relaxed time to negotiate. You spend some time just like kind of setting Jinx up on like a settee to kind of like be left there. At some point, Errol will kind of like look to you all, and he like has some things to prepare a meal for. You might see like two of his young children who are like running about like 8 and 10 years old. And eventually he like sends them off to get like a little bit more things to actually prepare for like the six of you. And at some point here, the kids come back, and yeah, this is going to be one of those things where they have like a fresh like leg of like ham or something like that, leg of a pig, and they actually like wrap it in like green herbs and start to slowly roast this thing over like an open hearth in the center of the house. Eventually, kind of like doing everything in a way where it's essentially ready for quite some time, but you can kind of tell it's only getting like more and more kind of um like not flaky. I feel like flaky is a bad way of describing it, but like
Crisp.
soft, like you can like touch it and just like pull the pork right off of the bone. Um just keeping it very juicy where eventually Jinx will kind of like come to like the
Similar
smell of
to
this
pulled pork.
roast. What was that?
Similar to like pulled pork, like a hard outer shell, but like a soft inner shell.
Yeah, yeah. But just over time, they're just kind of like taking this where effectively at some point you guys, your stomachs are going crazy, and there's a level of recognition that that's being cooked just as much waiting for Jinx to come to as anything else. But as you guys basically sit by and wait for this to kind of happen, eventually Jinx is going to come to. You guys can enjoy your meal there. Um, any thoughts when you come to Jinx? Otherwise, we're getting close to where this session's going to wrap up, and we'll come back to thoughts in the future here.
No, nothing in particular.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where we'll kind of wrap it with you guys have a bit of a new friend in Errol, someone who you guys have kind of helped, not necessarily trying to take one over on you guys. Appreciates not being taken over himself. And that's kind of building relationships in the city. And I think that's where we'll kind of cut it off there. But yeah, like as far as things go, I think touching on it, that's one of those reasons why I suggest everybody have a source of healing, because sadly if you've got one healer, if they ever go down, that knocks out the ability to, like, you need two healers to be able to heal a healer who goes down. And that's one of those reasons why if you're going to be like a melee class, it can be really useful to take the healer's feat. If you're going to be a caster class, it can be really easy to pick up one of the subclasses that allows you healing. And those are some of those things to keep in mind.
How
Um,
would one get the healing for the fight for a fighter?
Mostly that's going to come down to, I think as far as fighters go, like the healer's feat is probably the thing that would be the easiest way to get the ability to heal. But other than that, it's really multi-classing, because I think even the arcane knight doesn't actually have access to healing. I think it's just wizard spells.
Yeah, and wizards don't have any healing spells, at least unless it's some new thing that.
Yeah, because the other thing is potions, and the cheapest healing potion is 50 gold, whereas
Well,
that
not even that.
healer's kit is 5 gold.
Well, not that I can actually make potions. I just don't have the ingredients on. Actually, would I have had the ingredients on me from the healer's box?
If you're gonna start making potions, you need herbalist feat and or alchemist. And every potion that you go to make is 25 gold and effectively 1 day of downtime.
Because
Um,
I have the potioner's kit. Is that one of my skills that added?
Poisoner's kit is what you,
Poisoner's kit, obviously, but that I
that's
could
for
use.
making poison.
No worries. I'll figure something out and I'll let you know.
But that's why I say like healer's kit is the simplest way to go about it. It's sacrifice one of your feats or ASIs to take the healer's feature and the healer's feat and use the healer's kit, because that's the cheapest way to do it when you're paying for it. Otherwise, even when you can make your own potions, there's still 25 gold apiece. It's half as much in materials. If you wanted to also harvest your own materials, you're probably looking at like working to find materials to then make healing potions, and eventually you're just going to be an NPC who's making healing potions.
So
That's
I
one of the
will
things.
have to